Honda eHEV problems, Honda hybrid transmission, Accord hybrid reliability, CR-V hybrid issues. If you bought your Honda hybrid after 2022, this affects you. Stick around because at the end, I'm going to show you the maintenance item Honda's own service department doesn't know about, the one that's going to cost you $4,200 at 85,000 miles if you don't act now. Here's a question. When you bought your Accord hybrid or CR-V hybrid, did the salesperson explain that your car doesn't actually have a transmission? Did they mention the wet clutch that's bathed in fluid Honda claims never needs changing? Did they warn you what happens when that fluid breaks down? Of course they didn't, because if they had, you might have asked uncomfortable questions about maintenance costs and long-term reliability. Here's what's really happening inside your eHEV hybrid right now while you're driving around thinking everything's fine. That clutch is engaging and disengaging dozens of times every trip. The fluid is getting hotter. Clutch material is wearing off in microscopic amounts and contaminating the fluid. And Honda's maintenance schedule says do absolutely nothing about it. If you're one of the people who actually reads owner's manuals, you already know something feels off. The maintenance schedule is suspiciously empty for a system this complex. If you've been driving long enough to remember when Honda told everyone their automatic transmission fluid was lifetime fill right before those transmissions started exploding at 90,000 miles, you're getting a very bad feeling of déjà vu right now. You should be, because Honda is doing it again. If you want to know what's actually going to break, when it's going to break, and the simple maintenance that prevents it, hit subscribe. This is the information Honda should have given you at delivery, but didn't. Every car has a story, and this one comes with a repair bill you can still avoid. Let me start by explaining what you actually bought, because I guarantee the salesperson didn't explain this part. Your eHEV Honda doesn't work like a Toyota hybrid. It doesn't even work like older Honda hybrids. It's a completely different system that operates in a way most people don't understand even after owning the car for 2 years. Here's how it works. Most of the time when you're driving around town, accelerating from stoplights, cruising under 45 miles per hour, your gas engine is not connected to the wheels at all. It's running, but it's acting as a generator. It's spinning, making electricity, sending that electricity to the electric motor, and the electric motor is what's actually moving the car. You are essentially driving an electric vehicle with a gas-powered generator charging it in real time. But when you get on the highway and you're cruising at steady speed above about 45 to 50 miles per hour, the system makes a decision. It's more efficient to just let the engine drive the wheels directly instead of converting mechanical energy to electrical and back to mechanical. So, a clutch engages, a wet multi-plate clutch, the same type you'd find in a manual transmission or a motorcycle. That clutch physically locks the engine to the front axle. No CVT, no planetary gears, no transmission in the traditional sense, just engine, clutch, axle. When you need to slow down or accelerate, the clutch disengages and you go back to electric drive. This happens constantly, every highway on-ramp, every time you pass someone. Every hill. The clutch is engaging, disengaging, slipping slightly during the transition, generating heat and friction. That clutch is bathed in a specialized fluid. Honda calls it eHEV fluid. It lubricates the clutch plates, cools the electric motors, and carries away heat from the entire system. And here's where the problem starts. Honda says in the owner's manual that this fluid is lifetime fill and does not require changing under normal conditions. If you've owned Hondas before, alarm bells should be going off in your head right now. Honda said the exact same thing about the automatic transmission fluid in their V6 Accords and Odysseys in the early 2000s. Lifetime fill, no service required. Those transmissions started failing at 80,000 to 100,000 miles. Honda eventually admitted the problem, extended warranties, and quietly started recommending fluid changes, but not before tens of thousands of owners got stuck with $3,500 transmission replacements. Now, they're doing it again with eHEV fluid, and the people who are going to get burned are the ones who trust the maintenance schedule and don't ask questions. Let me tell you what actually happens to that fluid over time. Every time the clutch engages, friction material wears off the clutch plates in microscopic amounts. That contamination gets suspended in the fluid. The fluid's job is to carry that contamination away and keep everything clean, but the fluid itself has a limited capacity to hold contamination. At the same time, the fluid is being heated and cooled constantly. It's cooling electric motors that can generate significant heat, especially in stop-and-go traffic or when you're accelerating hard. Heat breaks down the fluid's chemical properties. The additives that prevent foaming and oxidation degrade. The fluid's viscosity changes. Its ability to cool and lubricate diminishes. By 50,000 miles, that fluid is noticeably darker than when it was new. By 60,000 miles, it's starting to smell burnt if you know what to sniff for. By 80,000 miles, it's doing a poor job of protecting the components it's supposed to protect. I talked to a transmission specialist who's torn apart eHEV units from high-mileage cars. He showed me photos of the fluid at different mileage intervals. At 65,000 miles, the fluid that came out was dark brown with visible metallic particles floating in it. That's clutch material, bearing material, and gear shavings. That contaminated fluid is circulating in your system right now if you've never changed it. Here's what happens when you keep driving on degraded fluid. The clutch starts running hotter because the fluid isn't cooling it effectively. Hot clutches wear faster. Eventually, the clutch facing starts to glaze over or wear unevenly. You'll start feeling symptoms, a shudder or vibration when the car transitions from electric mode to engine mode on the highway. That's the clutch slipping. By the time you feel it, the damage is done. The repair? Honda doesn't sell the clutch as a serviceable part. You can't just replace the clutch. You have to replace the entire eHEV transaxle assembly. It's a sealed unit. At a Honda dealer, that repair runs $40,000 to $4,500 parts and labor. I've seen quotes as high as $5,200, depending on the model and your location. And here's the part that's going to make you furious. If you're out of warranty, Honda's position is that this is normal wear and tear. They'll point to the maintenance schedule that says the fluid doesn't need changing. They'll say you didn't do anything wrong, but they'll still hand you a bill for $4,200. Let me give you a specific real-world case. A 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid. Bought new, meticulously maintained, every service done at the dealer exactly as scheduled. At 84,000 miles, the owner noticed a vibration at highway speeds. Took it to the dealer. The service advisor test drove it, felt the shudder, ran diagnostics. Code came back indicating clutch slippage in the eHEV unit. The car was 4,000 miles out of powertrain warranty. The dealer's recommendation? Replace the eHEV transaxle. $4,285 out the door. The owner asked if changing the fluid would help. The service advisor said they could try it, but with clutch damage already occurring, it probably wouldn't fix the problem, just delay the inevitable.
The owner called Honda corporate. Honda's response was sympathetic but firm. The maintenance schedule doesn't require fluid changes. There's no recall or service bulletin. This is considered normal wear, not covered. The owner paid the $4,285, then started asking questions online about whether other people had experienced the same. That's when they found out that independent shops have been recommending eHEV fluid changes at 60,000 miles, specifically to prevent this problem. The dealer never mentioned it. The manual never mentioned it. Honda's corporate customer service never mentioned it. An $180 fluid change at 60,000 miles would have prevented a $4,285 repair at 84,000 miles. Now let me tell you exactly what you need to do if you own one of these cars. First, if your car has between 50,000 and 70,000 miles, schedule an eHEV fluid change now. Don't wait for symptoms. By the time you feel the shudder, you're too late. Second, if your car has less than 50,000 miles, put a reminder in your phone or calendar for 60,000 miles. Get the fluid changed then and plan to do it again every 60,000 miles after that. Third, use the correct Honda eHEV fluid. The part number is 08200-9006. It's not regular ATF. It's not CVT fluid. It's not generic hybrid fluid. It's a specific formulation for this specific system. You need about 6 quarts. Each quart costs about $22 to $28 at a Honda dealer. Fourth, find a shop that knows the correct service procedure. This isn't a simple drain and fill. There's a specific process involving running the car through certain drive modes, checking fluid level through a fill port with the car running, and adding fluid in precise amounts. If the shop doesn't know the procedure, they can overfill or underfill, which creates new problems. Fifth, if you're buying a used eHEV hybrid, assume the fluid has never been changed and factor in the immediate cost of changing it. That's $200 to $300 you need to spend within the first month of ownership to protect yourself. Sixth, keep records. Save the receipt from the fluid change. If you ever have a warranty claim related to the eHEV system, you want documentation that you went above and beyond Honda's inadequate maintenance schedule. Now let me address the question you're probably asking. Is this problem widespread enough to worry about, or is this just a few isolated cases? Here's what I know. The eHEV system launched in the 2023 model year for most models. We're now in 2025. The highest mileage cars are just starting to hit 80,000 to 100,000 miles. That's exactly when these problems start showing up. Independent shops that specialize in Hondas are seeing it. Transmission rebuilders are seeing it. Online forums have multiple threads about it, but it's not widespread enough yet for Honda to issue a recall or even a technical service bulletin. Give it another 2 years. By 2027, when there are tens of thousands of Hondas with 100,000 plus miles, this is going to explode into a much bigger issue. Honda will eventually extend warranties or offer goodwill assistance like they did with the V6 transmission debacle. But if you're reading this now and your car has 60,000 miles, you don't have 2 years to wait. You need to act now to protect yourself. Here's something else nobody's talking about. The eHEV system has a separate cooling system for the inverter and electric motors. That system uses a specific coolant. Honda says inspect it periodically, but gives no replacement interval. Based on what I've seen and what independent shops recommend, that coolant should be flushed and replaced at 100,000 miles. The coolant degrades over time, loses its anti-corrosion properties, and becomes less effective at cooling. If the inverter overheats because of degraded coolant, you're looking at a $2,800 inverter replacement. Again, not covered under warranty if you're past the mileage limit. So you've got 2 maintenance items Honda should specify but doesn't. eHEV fluid at 60,000 miles, hybrid coolant at 100,000 miles. Together, those services cost maybe $450 over the life of the car. Skipping them can cost you $7,000 in repairs. Now let me compare this to Toyota's hybrid system for a moment because people always ask which is more reliable. Toyota's system uses a planetary gear set with no clutches. There's no friction material to wear out and contaminate the fluid. Toyota specifies transmission fluid changes at 100,000 miles in some models, and even that's probably conservative. You could realistically go 150,000 miles on Toyota hybrid transmission fluid without major risk.